Like he's happy with his opener. Farrow with Sultai Reanimator on the draw. He'll take a look at his 7, and we'll be underway here shortly from the finals. Here from Atlanta. Sansep Citadel. Let's get it started. Opulent Palace here for Farrow. Windswept Heath going to get sacrificed by Hames. Might be shortcutting a little bit, so we'll see in just a second here. There's a Satyr Wayfinder, return over Forest, Sylvan Caryatid, Llanowar Waste, and a Polluted Delta. And the selection looks to be the Delta.
I like taking a Delta here. He has Courser in hand, so I want to have another shuffle effect.
Yep. Thoughtseize the draw here for Hames. Third land. He has a Courser. Top card, Rhino. Kick it back over to Farrow. Good start here for both players. Picked up a copy of Murder's Cut. There is the Delta. Sacrifice. See what land he wants to search up here. A swamp or an island. Does have access to both in his deck. There is a swamp.
I think the presence of Sultai Reanimator here and how well it's done and what our top 8 looks like means maybe time for some really straightforward beatdown decks to come back, be a little bit more prevalent.
Courser, gonna show Llanowar Waste. Pass the turn back. So Hames will draw his Rhino. Top card's Hero's Downfall. Does he have a 4th land? Does he have Temple of Silence? It's a 4th land that's untapped. Caves of Koilos says yes. First things first, beatdowns. I love this attack.
Just put him to the test.
Yes. He could have Abzan Charm, but I just love it. It's a freebie. Or you get a Satyr Wayfinder.
Wow, all
yeah,
right.
I love it.
Way to go, James.
There's a Siege Rhino. Getting life off the land, has to pay a little bit for the Rhino, but a little drain, a little gain, and now he's got a 4 or 5 on the battlefield as well.
I mean, John might not care just because that Wayfinder doesn't do much except chump block at this stage, but a lot of people wouldn't even bother making that attack.
Yep.
Because in their own head, they're just saying, well, obviously he's just putting his Courser in front, so what's even the point? The point is, sometimes they won't block, or sometimes they'll chump block. All good stuff.
That is Llanowar Waste. Hopefully he remembers to gain life off his Courser. And now there's a Sidisi. Couple of cards. Yep. I think he said I saw the top card. And he will just shuffle.
Yeah, no harm, no foul, no scrying.
Yep. And it looks like he may have forgotten to gain a life off his Courser there, as he still stays at 16.
That Banishing Light's a great insurance policy here for James. This is one way to get Whip of Erebos off the table. John, without Whip and without anything to do with it, even if he had it, but you never know what shape the game's going to take.
And it is confirmed he did miss his trigger off Courser to gain a life. We'll see if that 1 life does end up mattering, as here's a Courser trigger for Hames. And it looks like he is happy enough with what's on top of his deck. Doesn't even want to scry.
I would not get rid of that Banishing Light here.
And here's the attack again.
Now, I think it's a lot more attractive for John to be blocking Courser in front of Courser this turn because he knows James just drew a Hero's Downfall. So if James has Abzan Charm, that's at least his whole turn. You get to attack him with Sidisi.
Mm-hmm. There is the Downfall. And now here's the Thoughtseize. Murder's Cut, a Whip of Erebos, Commune with the Gods, along with an island, and a copy of Llanowar Waste. So the options here for Hames. What city he wants to take? His hand is left with an Elspeth and a Sorin.
I think it's closer in that scenario to erring on the side of taking the Murderous Cut because James' clock is awfully slow if the Siege Rhino gets killed. But because there's a commune in John's hand, there's too big a risk of just commune flips over a Hornet Queen, whip gets back the Hornet Queen, and even if you immediately take care of the whip, too much damage has been done.
Well, speak of Hornet Queen, there's 2 of them. He'll take one of them to the grip. Rest are going to go to the bin. What's the follow-up going to be? There's top cards, Delta, another commune. So Delta's going to go to the bin along with a couple others. There's a whip. And just like that, he's able to find 2 key pieces. Fill up his graveyard a little bit too. Though you might take a different card.
Pretty hard to say no to Whip of Erebos in this spot.
I agree.
I guess the flip side of it is if you know your opponent has Banishing Light, maybe you're better off taking something like Doomway Giant and being able to get something a little bit more proactive. But I still feel like the whip is likely to do so much damage, even if it's only activated once.
He's going with the Doomwake. Soul of Theros, the top card. And Temple of Mysteries, top card there for John. So for Hames, you've got some Planeswalkers over there in Sorin and Elspeth. No 6th land yet for Elspeth, so you can play Sorin. Banishing Light, of course, if you'd like, but you have to imagine there are better Banishing Light targets.
So this is what I alluded to why I think it's close on the previous turn for James to take the Murderous Cut, because it doesn't take that much from the top of John's deck to get to this spot where you just don't have a lot of pressure.
Yeah. But he's willing to just take the 4 points of damage, maybe saving Murderous Cut for the Soul of Theros. And I think, yeah, if you're Hames, you probably have to cast Sorin here. The question is just how do you use it? But given that it's post-combat, he's still going to tick it up. A little surprised there. Now the Rhino's going to die to a Murderous Cut, perhaps. James expected it to, but it didn't yet. Freak is a top card.
That's the thing. I think that I still would have gotten rid of the Siege Rhino in that spot because I understand Soul of Theros is really big, but if you're playing towards Hornet Queen, the thing you have to be most concerned about is trample. That's the biggest issue.
Sure.
So I'd always rather get the Trampler off the table and let Hornet Queen take care of all non-trampling creatures.
Of course, he's going to go after Sorin. Down to 3, pass the turn back. Hames will untap. We know he's going to draw a Soul of Theros. The question is what's underneath it. It's a 6th land.
And I wouldn't even mind stopping James right now and taking care of the Courser.
Yep, I think that's what's going to happen.
This is a solid play here from John. I like this. I still think on the balance, I would have preferred to get rid of the Siege Rhino last turn, but this is totally fine.
And the Siege Rhino can't make any headway this turn. I suppose we could banish out the Doomway Giant. Get some work done there. You're not thrilled about it, but it does get that out of the way. You take up Sorin, you deal 5 points of damage, you gain 5 life.
Yeah, I've seen the deck get to this spot before in game 1 where it can get in some shots here. Siege Rhino is one of the more annoying cards to try to handle with Hornet Queen, and you may be able to burn someone out. Not inconceivable. So by taking this line of play, John has kept Soul of Theros or Elspeth off the table for a turn, but the cost is a lot of damage. We'll see if it's worth it.
And for 5. Freak is the draw, top card, Courser. Trigger. In, put that down to 2. We've seen this song and dance before. There's Hornet Queen. On with 4 insects. Pass the turn back. Hames will draw. The forest we knew about. Now he's got Soul of Theros and Elspeth to choose from. Sorin's going to get cashed in here. Little vampire action. And now there's the Soul. And it is a 6/6 with Vigilance. The text on it matters quite a bit. Creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain first strike and lifelink until end of turn for 4 white. So that actually gives you a good way to actually try to beat that stupid Hornet Queen.
Gives James a lot of life to play with, too.
Mm-hmm. And we haven't seen a lot of the souls.
We got a soul mirror match.
But yeah, we're in a bit of a soul mirror here. Now, one thing to keep in mind is Farika is live right now. 3 from the Queen, 2 from itself. Yeah, James is just saying,
Yep, this is what I do.
Yeah, let's go. See if you can beat this. Doesn't seem easy. +2/+2. First strike Vigilance. As you mentioned, he's going to have a lot of life to play with, and blocking ain't great. Can't forget that Siege Rhino does trample, too. Looks like a couple of creatures are going to get removed here from Farrow's graveyard, so you can start blocking. But these attacks are just super safe.
And the Soul of Theros look kind of just a weird one of. You don't see it a lot in this list, but you'd be hard-pressed to find a lot of cards that could get James out of this spot game 1 against Hornet Queen.
Looks like we got some blocks here. So the Rhino is going to be a 6-power creature, so he gets to trample over, it looks like, just for 1 point of damage on the Farika. Everything else is going to lose, but James is going to gain a boatload of life now.
And that's the thing, as long as James is getting a bunch of life, he can rinse and repeat on this turn over and over again. Even if he's not making a lot of headway on the board, it's not like John can fire back for any appreciable amount of damage.
Whip of Erebos the draw. Top card. Satyr Wayfinder.
John needs to find a murderous cut pronto, and I think he's only got 1 left in the deck.
Yep, that's the big one. Courser. I think he meant to cast that, yeah, as he did tap 4 mana. So Whip's in play.
I suppose this is also an answer, it's just gaining a whole lot of life on the way back.
Yeah, we're in the life gain mirror. I think John deciding if he wants to deploy that or not, and he will. Hames will draw. And even though he has Elspeth in his hand, I don't know if anything changes here.
I'm a little surprised for John not to run an attack that turn. It's just anything you're not blocking with, you should be attacking with.
Get some life.
Yeah.
Deal some damage. You got to work away at that 42 life anyway.
But I don't think James gets a lot by deploying an Elspeth. He can just, I guess James can just make an attack before doing anything with the soul. And John probably blocks like he can pump. And then you just have the option to do whatever you want to do.
Oh, there's Elspeth. 3 soldier tokens. And, you know, perhaps the plan here is just to add to the board so that when you do activate Soul, there are more things to mess around with.
This is the issue, though. I was about to mention exactly this scenario where your Elspeth may not be able to get through this turn.
Sure.
Because James does not have a lot to block with. He only has... I mean, he has very little block with to protect this Elspeth, so...
Perhaps some beatdowns are in order. Yeah, Elspeth's got to bite the dust, so that's gone. Farrow gained a little bit of life in the exchange.
This is getting messy.
Oh, we're going to be here for a while.
We are going to be here.
We're not
for
going
a bit.
anywhere anytime soon. We'll actually be joining the legacy coverage in round 8. There's Liliana Vess. Tutored up.
Matthew Toberstein.
Now, James does have a Hornet Queen of his own. I do not know if that is the card he wants to tutor for right here. But it seems like the highest impact option he has.
Queen on queen beats.
We'll find out momentarily.
Yeah.
If you sign up for Commander Pod,
It's a mystery on top.
number 1,
Aim says,
Commander
that's
Pod
my
number
turn.
1,
What's your turn?
is ready.
A little freak action here.
Make your way to
Remove
the
carry added. And Death Touch Snake. Normally we see this combination with Eilana Blossoms or Doomwake Giant.
Nope, just one in there.
Yeah, just an honest approach. Value, as it were. Of course, there's the top card. The draw is Hornet Queen. And hey, this is where Farrow wants to be. He's got a whip in play. Courser generating advantage slowly but steadily. Hornet Queen making things difficult. Gonna go after Liliana, maybe.
I would not let it stick around, so some number of these attacks have to go to get the Planeswalker off the table this turn. And this is one of those spots where, I understand it doesn't look like there's a lot of headway to be made by attacking James at all, and John may just default to sending enough attackers to get Liliana off the table. But if you're not going to be blocking, you might as well be attacking.
Yep. I think he agrees.
I like trying to find some way to push in some damage if you can.
There goes Liliana.
Daniel Todd, your Commander Pod.
A little bit of damage going to come through too.
Daniel Todd, Commander Pod is waiting for you. Please meet your judge by the side event board.
See Farrow gain some life now as well since he has whip in play. It's up to 14. Another Hornet Queen. It'll be put to the test to see if we have enough tokens.
Yeah, we ran out last time.
Yeah, we're a little short. Yeah, he searched for a Hornet Queen.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's not the end of the world.
Well, Hornet Queen alongside his Soul Theros is sort of a trump.
I suppose, yeah. Yeah. It's all built around Soul of Theros. Maybe that's how you beat the Hornet Queen mirror.
It has looked pretty good against Hornet Queen thus far. I mean,
You dial up the Soul. They can't block forever. I mean, it'll take you a long time to whittle things away, but maybe that's the big game plan here. Muck things up. And then get to work. Satyr Wayfinder. Gonna turn over a couple of cards. Oh, now, Soul of Innistrad. Ha-ha!
we finally get to settle who's better once and for all.
That's right. Somebody better go get the grind clock. Maybe that's the plan now, is to mill ya.
Oh, it would not surprise me if this game got settled by John getting decked.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
That's in play.
James just gains too much life over the course of the game.
I think John may be in the same spot now where he can't necessarily block everything or even that much. So he'll throw out some attacks because there's not a ton else to be done. And And that is exactly the type of attack you see right there.
Yeah. Draw a card. Yeah, and for John, it's a pretty straightforward turn.
Send in the clowns.
Yeah, everybody gets +2/+2 first strike and lifelink, and he just says, "Let's go."
It's hard for this attack to be too bad.
It really is. First strike provides major problems. And unless Farrow draws his murderous cut to get Solitharos off the table, we could just see this
Exactly.
for every turn of the game, because eventually he will whittle away all of John's forces because of first strike. And it'll be at too high of a life total to have a racing situation.
Yeah, and the blocks you see are kind of the types of blocks John's going to be committed to for the rest of the game, which is letting the Siege Rhino go through because there's no good way to block that, and chump blocking everything else.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to cut up exactly how much life James gains right now, which is quite a lot.
The answer you're looking for is a lot.
Get the final count momentarily.
Yeah.
Probably going up into the 60s or 70s would be my guess.
And not losing a lot either. Yeah, this is a situation where you just have to, if you're James, just whittle things away.
I mean, Soul Theros getting all these Horniqueens back is going to make this a long slog.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a quick game.
All right, 75. I was roughly correct.
Yeah. And so Innistrad gonna activate. Queen, queen, and something else. And Elvish Mystic too.
And if John is getting back Elvish Mystic here instead of Cedar Wayfinder, it means he's also concerned about getting decked right now.
Yeah, I think so.
With a whip in play, I mean, that's conceding a lot.
Draw a card. We'll have to see the top card of his deck here. There it is, Pluto Delta. Come on in, maybe. I think he needs to count how many lands he can search for with that card.
He might be out.
Yeah. Also, does he want to actually play a card off the top of his deck, given that he can be decked? And that's a thing that he needs to worry about now.
Yeah, he's only got 2 swamps and an island, so I think he might just be out.
And he's going to play this first. Hornet Queen on top. Oh, we got a long way to go. Our shot at getting breakfast, I think, is just dead.
Yep.
Wherever he goes, only serving lunch
Come
now.
back. We're going to take a break, and you can join us for the semifinals of the Legacy Open.
Though the Waffle House does serve breakfast all day long.
And James's body language here, I like the arms crossed here because it's very much like, you do whatever you got to do. I know that I'm just going to be hitting the Soul Theros button every turn of the game.
James could just draw his card and leave his board like this, right?
Exactly.
He doesn't actually have to do anything. It's just 6 mana tapped. Everything's attacking. Activate Soul of Theros every turn.
Well, I'm sure he would like to get to 12 mana for the double activate. So
yes.
If he draws lands, I'm sure he'll put him to play. But he just has to hit the Soul Theros button. The only thing that causes any of this to change is if John is able to find the murderous cut.
Oh, John says, right back in your face. I'll attack. Well, okay then. I'll take some damage. I'll subtract some number from 75.
Yep.
We might actually have to see if we can go to triple digits on the life counter today. Hello.
I know that we failed this test before because Ajani went ultimate.
Yep.
And we could not get it over 100. We'll see if that's been updated.
Time to untap everything. He's down to 67. Draw a card. It's a land. Boom, shakalaka. Let's do it again.
Hit the button. All right. Run this back.
Come and get it. Similar blocks. Hames is going to deal a lot of damage and clear out a decent amount here of Farrow's board.
When it's all said and done, James may slog through double-digit number of Hornet Queens.
Yeah.
When you factor in the whips and the soul.
Soul's the trump, man. Like the trump to the mid-range mirror is Hornet Queens and with Veribos, and the trump to that is Soul of Theros and a board of stuff.
Yep.
And unless Farrow finds a Murder's Cut, the trump card's in play. $99.
We don't know if that's actual. Oh, it's
Actual 99.
We'll get to we'll go to the test next turn,
That's right.
I guess.
No, somebody doesn't want to draw. Oh wow, his deck is very small. Yeah, his deck is really small.
Yeah, he's got no lands to search for now.
Yeah. I think somebody might be getting decked this game. I think that's a very real possibility.
And you can see why now that he got the Elvish Mystic back last turn instead of the Sacred Wayfinder.
Yeah. 16 cards left. Top card with Veribos. Don't need that one. That's the draw. Next one, Sidisi. No. There's a Courser. This is a Hornet Queen. Yep. Couple more insects. Yes, sir. Beat down a clock. And Farrow's just trying to keep his head above water because he's not gaining any life on defense.
Yeah, they're all chump blocks because of first strike. So.
That's the problem.
Well, there are several problems.
I suppose that's true.
Untap, draw, hit the button.
If it's a land, put it into play. With Thoughtseize, get a little looksky poo maybe. I guess he knows the card is a whip, yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, don't change gears now, my man. Yeah.
Hit the button.
Hit the button, get in there. You know what time it is, James.
So the Farika allows John to make the smallest of inroads on James's board.
The smallest is correct.
He gets to eat one thing.
And that's only because there's not another land, because he could Abzan Charm that
Yeah.
and exile it, but he just needs another land to be able to do that. So it's making small inroads now.
As it stands, John loses a lot of his board, and James gets to gain 37,000 life a turn. Or whatever, so he can afford to throw away one of the tokens, but... We're going to put our life tracker to the test.
Don't disappoint me.
Fingers crossed.
Before we type in 100 something, the stream just breaks.
This has been a slog.
Yeah, but I think we know who's winning. Bunch of life going to be gained on Hames' side. Time to untap and draw. Top card.
Nope.
Seder Wayfinder. Oh, no.
All right, we did it. Look at that.
125. Hey, you. We're in search of now a test of endurance. That's what we're looking for. Test of endurance.
And the 12th, I think, or whatever, Hornet Queen of the match.
A few of those. And some damage is going to come across here. That's really just an impressive display from both decks. Farrow has a million permanents in play. You can see why his deck wants to play a long game. He's gaining life, of course, with Whip.
Active player, finish your turn.
It is crazy how good Soul of Theros has been this game.
Yeah, completely busted.
When it
in this
got
sort of game.
revealed, I did not understand the full implication of what was going to happen.
Yeah. Completely busted. Wingmate Rock, AKA a piece of cardboard.
Push the button.
Survey briefly. All right, button push. Looks like he's only going to do creatures in the air, too.
Yeah,
which I like a lot.
James is giving this a pause here.
Never mind.
Well, everything's all the point here is that Farika can't do anything. That's the only thing
can't kill
that
something
James is worried about. He doesn't want to throw anything else in front of the Farika.
Yep.
Everything on the ground's too large, and everything in the air can't be blocked anyway. So this is good.
We'll see some blocks here. Bunch of blocks there. He's trying to figure out if there's a way for him to get that off the table.
Oh, wow.
I mean, if he can do that, he's done what he needs to do. It is an 8-8 with first strike. So we might, okay. I mean, if he loses Soul of Theros, he basically loses the game.
Well, John has to be able to deal enough damage over the course of...
I think he can do that. Because for a minute there, I thought we were going to see an attack where he just attacks everything in the air.
Right.
And hung back on the ground creatures because of what could happen here. But now... John Farrow.
Yeah, he may have been able to navigate this, getting this soul off the table. In which case, an attack with the soul maybe have been better served when he could have waited for land number 9.
For Abzan Charm.
Got rid of the Farika, and then blocking's basically impossible.
Yep. This could be bad news here for Hames.
Keep in mind, the Farika also gives him John the option of exiling the soul.
Also true.
So if the soul leaves play, that's it. He doesn't even get one more activation for the rest of the game.
Yeah, John gets to decide that. And now says, let me take a look at your exile and what you got down there. This is kind of the panic button mode where now you start looking at different zones and saying, I think I may have made an error.
Yep. Because again, James could have just waited for one more mana. Or not shipped with the soul this turn.
And I think now he's realizing, okay, now I need to order blockers and figure out what I'm going to kill with this 8 points of first strike damage. I think that's what's happening now. Because the other thing he can try to figure out is, okay, if I kill enough stuff, can I shut off the devotion for Farika so it leaves combat?
Yeah,
but I don't think he can do that.
Yeah, if he gets the 2 coursers are the biggest source of devotion right here.
Yep.
So he could have put there are 3 coursers involved in that block. Those could have all been killed.
We can kill 2 of them.
Oh yeah, excuse me. You can kill 2 of them.
But between Farika, that's 2. Whip is 4. Courser is 2 more. It should be enough, I believe. Unless something here happened that we may have missed to get that soul off of the table. We'll see. Yep, it's gone.
Yep.
Oh, gain a bunch of life, obviously. He's up to 150. But his trump card's gone now. So, a misstep there from Hames. As Farrow will draw a Satyr Wayfinder that he almost certainly won't cast. He's going to put into play a land there. A little risky.
Yeah, it seems like his turns are worth a lot more than the land in play.
Yeah.
and the third Hornet Queen.
Please come to the stage.
One left on top of the deck. All of them have been whipped. The three of them have come back through Soul of Theros.
Yeah. Hornet Queen going crazy. Oh, what a nice guy John Farrow is. Here is a death touch snake for you. Your Soul of Theros is removed from your graveyard. And now, the beatdowns. And now things might be shifting back the other way, slowly but surely.
Emphasis on, I guess, both.
Yeah. I mean, Farrow's got to get through 135 life points, but now, you know, Hames, before the attacks were easy for lack of a better term, but now there aren't any good ones.
Yeah. There's so much death touch, both on the air and on the ground.
How is one supposed to get through? John feeling pretty comfortable.
He should. I mean, at this point, there's no ace in the hole left for James, you know? There's no Doom Blast or End Hostilities in the deck.
Yeah, you beat the ace in the hole. Rawr. I'm making some attacks now.
Players in the modern IQ parents for round 2 are being posted. Please make way for
I mean, James trying to figure out if there's any good attacks to be made here, but
I would be very surprised.
at this point, there's not even a lot to be gained by the Abzan Charm going on the Farika, because the rest of the ground is locked up.
Mm-hmm.
Without Soul of Theros, the rest of the ground is just locked up at this point.
Yep. There's Elspeth. And as great as that card is, and it's one of the best ones in the format, just doesn't have a huge impact on this board.
It's been very underwhelming in this matchup.
Yeah. You know, the minus effect is just not one that plays a role. And you don't really care all that much if you're Farrow about the 3/1/1 tokens. It just doesn't matter very much. Now he does play another land off the top of his deck. Again, risky, risky. He's basically drawing 2 cards a turn by continuing to do that. He does need to be cognizant of that, as it looks like it's time for James Hames to get another life pack.
It's just tough because he's got such a commanding presence in play, but he still needs to deal 135 plus whatever James gains along the rest of the way.
Yep.
And so to me, what his combat step is worth is far more valuable than drawing an extra card and maybe finding something a little bit faster.
He needs as many combat steps as possible. That's what he needs to win this game.
Yeah.
Because he's not attacking for huge chunks of damage like Hames was due to the soul. He's attacking for, you know, a fine amount of damage with all of these insects, but not attacking for 40 or 50 points of damage.
Yeah. When someone's attacking you for 15 in this spot, that's a 9-turn clock. So putting those lands off the top of the deck is very dangerous.
Yep. Take a look at the graveyard here. There's a little count for the library, perhaps. Not a lot of cards there. See if we can get a count of how many. But I would not do something like cast a Sidisi or a Seder Wayfinder.
Well, it's odd just because John's already identified this issue earlier in the game. He elected to get back the Elvish Mystic that was useless over a Seder Wayfinder with the Soul of Innistrad.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't cast a Sidisi that he drew. He didn't cast a Seder Wayfinder that he drew, so he's aware that milling himself over in this spot is not very good. But playing lands off the top of the deck with Courser is very much the same thing.
Yep. Another queen. Four more insects.
Players in the modern IQ, welcome to round 2. You have 50 minutes to make a game.
Just figuring out what land he wants to use to cast this. There we go. Pass turn back over to Hames. That's like 12 cards or so. Looks like there's 10 left.
Gonna be a challenge for James to hold off for 10 turns.
I think so.
I like it.
1.
I like an attack there.
Take that, jerk.
You know, James had some success trying to bluff through some damage earlier on in the game.
Yeah, he did.
You never know.
That's a long time ago. That was a long time ago. Wingmate Rock. Trigger the raid. A little outclassed right now. Just a touch. Looks like Farrow's preparing to make some more snake tokens. I don't think Hames has any good attacks. Yeah, so we're going to have a freak activation here. And I was on charm. Looks like it's going to take care of Farika. Yep. So that'll get exiled. After 2 more Death Touch enchantments come in.
And you take a point off, a damage off your Llanowar Waste. You go to 68.
Yep.
Make sure, you know. Gotta get that one too.
Yeah, got to make sure we have that correct.
Sorry, 67.
It's okay. Clarification is key.
That's why it's important to.
Doomway Giant on top.
That is a disaster for James because that speeds up the clock quite a bit.
A little bit. Clear some stuff out of the way. Now, on a board that is this cluttered, and it can be a little bit overwhelming, you just have to figure out what's important and how you can lose. At this point, if you're Farrow, I don't think there's a way you can lose.
You can get decked.
That's the one. That's
you're not gonna lose on the board. You're gonna get decked if you lose.
You know, what your opponent's doing, for the most part, doesn't really matter. You've got a high life total. They can't really stop what you're doing. You have to make sure you don't get decked. So now you just have to start checking off things that actually matter and don't matter so that you don't overwhelm yourself with all these decisions. Because truthfully, even though there's a lot of stuff out here, not a lot of stuff actually matters.
You can do a lot of shortcuts here. It's not significant to evaluate every single permanent play, and it's impossible to do so because the board's too complicated. So you need to break it down into the core components, what's going on in the game. I can safely attack in the air. Maybe I can attack on the ground, maybe not. But it may not be worth sitting there for an hour trying to figure out if I can.
Yeah. Is your, mental energy better put somewhere else? Which is just, I can simply attack in the air. I've got a Doomway Giant, which means I can clear some stuff off the ground, and then maybe I can attack on the ground the next turn.
Exactly. Arguably, maybe John could have attacked on the ground this turn, but it's not even worth trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
The air safe, just do that.
Simplify it and don't overwhelm yourself. Hames down to 112.
There's a cumulative mental fatigue issue. This is game 1. John and James both have to go back to the well and play a second and possibly a third game.
Yeah.
So the worst thing that you can do is just drain yourself too much trying to figure out things that don't really matter that much. And I like this attack here from James. He knows that he can't block, basically. He knows that Doomway Giant's being drawn, so if he throws away his one toughness creatures, that doesn't even matter. And he gets the maximum trigger off of the Wingmate Rock.
Sure. Bunch of life, all that jazz. How much damage is going to be dealt? Life totals will change. We'll have them updated for you in a moment. There's a Thoughtseize. Choose a card.
Yep.
You can roll a die. None of them matter all that much. There's already a whip and play.
Yeah, James can hope that John misclicks and casts one of the CDC or Wayfinder.
Or the Wayfinder, yeah. Untap all the insects. There's a lot of them. Draw the Doomwake. Top card, Wayfinder. Doomwake. Bye-bye. Clear a couple of another Oh, those annoying snake tokens out of the way. Whip back Courser.
This gets another trigger, allows him to take care of the Hornet Queen.
There that goes. Temple's going to put the top card to the bottom. Take a look at this card, Yavimaya Coast. Oh, that's nice. One big motion. I like that. There you go.
I like leaving enough flyers back on defense to basically say, don't bother attacking with the Waymate Rock.
Yeah, I like that.
Because James just gets the life point back anyway. So if you disincentivize an attack, it works out the same way, but you get to save yourself 6 of your, 100 life points.
That's key.
Critical
in this situation.
Critical at this juncture.
Some damage will be dealt. Some life will be gained. Now it'll be time to move on to the next turn just a bit. Don't forget, after this game number 1, we'll be coming back to the booth for trivia.
Oh, we got trivia. We got to talk about sideboarding.
Yeah. Got a long way to go. Ah, yes, Hames down to 95. There's an obs on charm.
Looking for help. Gonna gas back up.
2 cards. There's a windswept teeth. Oof. 92.
Yep. The race has shifted into John's favor.
It has. It's only a 10-point lead, however. Anything could happen.
But you can see why it is dangerous for John to be playing the lands off the top of his deck with Corsair over the last couple turns.
Of course, you got no cards left.
James is still at 92.
Yeah.
I don't
8
think
left in deck.
I don't think. The flip side is I don't think James rather is really drawing to anything of significance. Sorin is a big chunk of life. That might basically represent a draw step out of John's side.
I think James would pay like $1,000 for a Tome Scour right now. Just knock off 4 or 5 cards of your library.
Yep.
Couple of blocks. And this is why he left stuff back on defense. It's like a little bit of trample damage there, but it also gains some life too, so he's happy with how this went.
And now John is in the clear to finally just start alpha striking.
Yep. The draws you off Mycos, put that in play, gain a little bit of life, and yeah, now this is where you just take them all and turn them all sideways again and again and again. And all the Hornets are just one stack of cards now. There's here, oof.
Like it.
Yep, slow that down.
Keep them off balance a little bit.
There's a bunch of Hornets in that pile, so.
There's 15 in that stack.
Looks like he's dealing around 20 or 21 a
I
turn.
count 21.
Yeah.
15 plus 6 on the other side there.
Lenamore wastes the draw. Hames down to 74. 21U.
John go up to 146.
Could be increasing the clock a little bit with the whip.
Oh,
Oh, wow, that's going to mess up all the math.
Big swing.
Yep.
I mean, the coursers can't attack. That's kind of a thing. Or I guess they can. Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? Don't tell me how to use my coursers.
Yeah.
Doomwake, we think.
Well, if he Doom Wakes and then whips back the Doom Wake, then he's free to attack with the coursers.
Yep.
So.
Whatever you can do to get this Siege Rhino off the table, I think is important. Courser. downs. Take a bunch.
$164 for John.
Decent chunk. Draw. Thoughtseize. Play a Sandstep Citadel, pass the turn back. Force the draw. Top card.
Oh.
Sidisi. Not you.
Nope. Although now I think that we got this rolled up over this turn and next.
Yeah. Just attacking for too much damage.
Legacy Open players.
Also, John's going to be north of 200 life by the time this is all said and done.
SCGATL, and they will also be posted
Draw.
very shortly.
And that is going to do it. A marathon game number 1 goes to John Farrow with Sultai Reanimator. He's up a game here over James Hames playing Obzon midrange. As we're going to bring it back to the booth, only 50 minutes later, Cedric Phillips and Patrick
back.
Sullivan.
Hi, everyone.
Hope you guys enjoyed that one. He's got the rules. I've got your 12-month trivia question.
Cedric's going to ask you a question, tweet your answer at SCG Live and hashtag SCG Premium. Of the correct responses, one will be selected at random for a full year of Star City Games premium content. Please keep in mind that this giveaway is run at the sole discretion of StarCityGames.com and that Twitch TV is no way affiliated with giveaways on its stream.
Next weekend, the Open Series is headed to the West Coast. The question is, where are we going to be? I think you can name that city. It's a great one.
Yep.
They have great ice cream. I'll have to take you there.
Okay.
You'll like it.
Okay, cool.
Are you pro ice cream?
Yeah.
You don't seem like the type.
Vanilla. So predictable.
I could have guessed chocolate, but vanilla was really easy.
Yeah.
Well, luckily for you, they have great ice cream.
Excellent.
So I'll take you there, and Matthias might be able to come. I might take Matthias, but I'll definitely take you.
All right, awesome.
There we go. Name the city will be in next weekend for the Open Series. As we do head back over to the match, we will take a look at the sideboards. Let's see if let's see if game 2 can go as long as game 1. What do you say?
I would be surprised. I guess it's not impossible.
There are some changes here to be sure. We'll take a look at James Hames to start. He's got 3 Mistcutter Hydras, 3 Bile Blight, and a Race, 2 copies of Nissa World Waker, 3 Drowned in Sorrows, 2 in Hostilities, and a Glare of Heresy. And Hostilities is nice.
So the 2 copies of Glare the 2 copies of Hostilities rather are great here. The Erase, I like the 3 copies of Bile Blight as well. Good answer to DC and Hornets.
Other side of things, 3 Reclamation Sages, 2 Negates, an Ashiok. Actually, 4 of them. A Liliana Vest, 2 Drowned Sorrows, and 3 copies of Thoughtseize.
Much of the same that we saw before. I like the Ashioks. The 3 copies of Thoughtseize I think are fine. I like Negate. I'm not sure if John's going to bring in. I think Negate's fine in this matchup because I think that John is primarily concerned with spells, not really the creatures. And the Liliana Vest is good as well.
Some pretty good options.
Yeah, the good upgrades for John's side of the table here.
This was a long game 1.
It was, and if James never committed that Soul of Theros to combat the turn that it got killed, and instead waited for the Obzon Charm to be able to take care of the Farika, that could have gone on even longer.
And the result may have been different.
Yes.
So there you go. Well, we'll see what happens here in game number 2. James Hames will be on the play.
Welcome to round number 3. You have 50 minutes. You may begin.
It's interesting. I don't know really. I feel like the matchup does favor Farrow, just given the composition of the decks and what's happening now. Things definitely changed after sideboard, but I think that the fact that Hames does have Soul and that's like the ultimate trump in the matchup. I think maybe he should have won game 1 if he uses the Soul a little bit better and doesn't just go into attack and activate mode for that one particular turn.
I think it's possible. I still believe that this matchup is going to be challenging for James, and the fact that he doesn't have Doom Blast in the sideboard and instead has Hostilities is not helpful either.
Sure.
As we saw in the semifinals there, that Matt was able to engineer some situations where you get Siege Rhino into play, you're hitting, you set up a Doom Blast, and you can finish someone off, even after John's kind of got his shop set up. James does not have that option. He can only end Hostilities, which only resets the board. He can't leverage his early game advantage and use Doom Blast to get in the last couple of points of damage. So I think that's a big cost for him in the matchup.
He doesn't have a sweet setup with a card like Mass Calcify either.
Right.
So those Wrath effects, though they feel as though they do the same thing, the text on those does matter. They are a little bit different. So we will see what does occur here in game number 2. See Farrow taking a look at Hames' sideboard. Don't forget, we're actually in round 3 of our Legacy Open now. Normally, we're wrapping up shop, doing a winner's interview right now, but game 1 took a little while, and these mid-range mirrors oftentimes do that.
A little while.
I'm being modest this morning.
Took a little longer than a little while.
So we'll see when we get the opportunity to join into our legacy coverage. Hopefully round 5, maybe round 6 now. And we do have some great players out there doing battle. Kent Ketter, Chris Anderson came on down from Indy.
Yeah, I was confused. I thought maybe he moved down here because why else would he be here?
Yeah, and not playing elves too, playing lands.
Just out of retirement. I gave him a shrug of the shoulders, you know, like, what are you doing here? And he shook his head, like, he didn't really know, but just loves playing Legacy.
Yeah.
Wants to mix it up.
He likes playing lands a lot too. Those are his 2 favorite legacy decks, elves and lands. And decided he wanted to sleeve up the old explorations this weekend, give it a go. Stephen Mann, he's also doing battle here, looking for some open series points. So got some big names doing battle.
I like the Legacy decks that celebrate the format, that are decks that are a consequence of a large card pool. And lands is near the top of the list.
Yeah.
These kind of decks don't exist until you make 15,000 cards.
I suppose that's true. And whoever the genius was that decided, I want to know if the person was like, you know what I want to do? Lands. This is a deck.
Probably someone who got sick of getting all their spells countered.
Perhaps.
What if I could build a deck of all lands? Then I wouldn't even have to worry about it.
You can't count on life alone forever. So take that. Looks like James is going to take a mulligan here. Not happy with what he's found.
Land seems a little trouble to me with the incline of Rest in Peace.
Yeah, it wasn't very popular last weekend. So, lands was pretty well positioned at the early stages of the tournament. Then it started running into Miracles, which is a difficult matchup. So we had a lot more lands last weekend than we expected, and it started off very well. It kind of puttered out, only one making the top 8. And that's a quick mulligan of 5. So maybe game number 2 is going to be real short.
Well, even on 5v7,
Could be shorter than expected. We'll see.
could still be quite a while.
Those were 2 very fast mulligans, though. Did
It's
not like what he saw.
It's not like John's deck is setting any 40-yard dash records,
Oh,
you know?
they're not wrong about that.
Yeah, even against the opponent who's not doing very much.
What's your 40-yard dash look like?
I haven't done it in a while. Probably not great.
I've got you pegged as a speedster.
I was.
Yeah.
I was at one point.
Looks like only an herb work as a land. Yikes. I know you've got those gifted hands that you always talk about.
Right. I
but-
was quite the wide receiver prospect at one point.
Wow. Rutgers didn't pick you up?
But no, they did not.
They missed out, clearly. Not feeling Palace to start things off. Hames with the second land. It's a plains off the top. Farrow with Thoughtseize. This will blow things up a little bit. Banishing Light, Courser, Obzon Charm, and a Hero's Downfall.
I would probably take Obzon Charm
Me and you both.
because it's sort of castable and James's hand needs help.
We're a little ways away from Courser. Downfall just is what it is. It's just kind of there. Banishing Light is kind of the same way. And it looks like he will go with the Charm. Second Palace, pass the turn back. Hames will draw. Well, replacement Ozone Charm, of course.
Kind of sweet.
Satyr Wayfinder, couple of cards. Farika, Yavimai Coast, make it 2 coasts, and a Sylvan Caryatid. Coast will go to the grip. That'll be the land for the turn. We'll pass it back over to Hames, who has a Thoughtseize now. Cast it off of Plains thanks to Urborg. See Murderous Cut, Thoughtseize, along with 2 Deltas and 2 Swamps. Those Deltas are a little awkward.
Again, not setting any 40-yard dash records.
In for 1. But we're going to speed it up.
We have doubled the clock.
Take a look at a couple cards here. Ashiok, a Whip, a Courser, and a Sylvan Caryatid, all going to go to the bin. There's a Swamp. Pass it. Hames, Sansep Citadel. There's green mana. In for 2, puts you to 15. Temple, top card. Let's make that the bottom card. Pass the turn back. Hames, Forest, perhaps Courser.
I would probably Charm this turn and then Courser next turn.
Okay. Beatdowns, 13. Swamp pass, nothing doing. There's the charm, down to 11.
Especially against an opponent with Murderous Cut in hand. You're down the Courser activation if you just cast it, so.
He's getting going here. He's moving a little faster now, sitting up in his chair. There's Courser. Top card, Temple, Ding, Trigger, Heath. Nope, don't need lands anymore. Downfall, meh.
I mean, James is playing.
He's definitely playing. There's a cut. You know, Farrow finds something to do like a Hornet Queen. Got a different game here, but as it stands, in for 2 more.
Just reactive, another Murderous Cut he's drawn in. I mean, it's a spell, but it's, you know, not really accelerating the clock here.
Hero's Downfall was the draw. Temple, Trigger. Top card's going to become the bottom.
This is a game where if James finds Elspeth, I mean, he could easily steal this.
Absolutely. Looks like Whip may have been the draw. Delta, Whip. And we're going to whip something back. It'll be a Courser.
Bang.
Temple. That's the least exciting turn I've ever seen. Get you for 4, put you to 6. Gain a little life as well. This is much different than the last game we saw. All right, untap. Draw. Temple. Banishing Light. Whip, you need to leave. The question now is James ever going to cast that Wingmate Rock? Well, top card stays on top very quickly. So we'll go back Farrow's way. Farrow will draw the Temple of Mystery. Take a look at the top card. Does he like what he sees? He does. In for 2. Downfall 1 of the Satyr Wayfinders.
Wow.
Gotta stay alive. Oh, you said Elspeth. He's got an Elspeth. Up to 5. 3 soldiers. Well, somebody needs a Hornet Queen now. He's going to sacrifice Polluted Delta. He knew his top card was going to be, so he doesn't want to draw whatever he left on top.
John just never got anything of substance.
No, he doesn't know anything. Forest. Pass. Hames will draw. In. This is a game where he kept a 1-land hand with an Urborg. That's it. Wingmate Rock. Trigger the raid. Elspeth's going to tick up 3 soldier tokens. Now here's the Sidisi. May I? You may. Turn over a couple of cards.
Is that Hornet Queen among them?
I believe that is that is a Hornet Queen. Never mind. Thought it was a commune for a moment, but it is a Hornet Queen, so 2/2 zombies in play. Land comes in very quickly. Downfall. Get that off my table. Murderous Cut your Wingmate Rock. In.
And now even Hornet Queen may not be enough.
No, I don't think it's going to be enough.
James is threading an emblem next turn.
Somebody needs to drown in sorrow. Draw a card.
Bioblade, perhaps. I mean, that's not.
Wow. Well, that was a game of Magic. I don't even know what to say.
Is the weakness of the Sultai Reanimator deck. There's a lot of setup for not that many payoff cards.
Yeah. John didn't do anything.
And in fact, John did find one of his payoff cards, which is Whip of Erebos, but the way the milling broke for him, there was nothing to get back. He got back a Courser, hit for 2.
Well, James, on your mulligan of 5 with your 1 Orborg keep, you got there.
Well, also part of that is a consequence of John's deck not putting any pressure on. It took James a very long time to draw out of that.
Yeah.
And the Wayfinders were able to get him down to 5, I think, by the time it was all said and done, but
5 ain't 0. Still to this day, 5's not 0.
correct.
I don't know if that'll ever change, but not today. Well, 1 more to go for these guys. It's only fitting that we'll play a 3rd game. I don't even know what this one's going to look like, but should be fun. Doesn't look like either player's changing too much. Maybe just taking a look at the deck list. See what they see. But that game was clearly much quicker than the first one, and we'll see which one of these 2 players will be our standard open champion here. Already drawing up their opening hands. See if they like what they see. Started up, Lanimore Waste, Temple of Malady. They both kept their 7. There's a Swamp. That's a Wayfinder. He'll have to take 1 to cast it, so he's going down to 19. There's a Doomwake Giant, Temple of Malady, Hornet Queen, and a Sidisi.
Whip
The
already
Brood
in
Tyrant.
hand, so that's just some juice to mill over this early.
Absolutely. Drown and Sorrow the draw. Temple. Top card to the bottom. Farrow will draw. It's a forest, an attack for 1. 19 all.
Drown Sorrow is an interesting card to bring in. I think part of it is just post-board he has more answers to Whip, and once he can answer Whip, then Drown Sorrow becomes much better.
A Thoughtseize is going to target Hames. Hornet Queen, Elspeth, Wingmate Rock, Courser, Drown and Sorrow, a couple of lands there in Plains and Lanimore Waste. So Farrow will record this information and then select a card, going down to 17 in the process.
Very valuable to have the information about Drown Sorrow too.
Hey, it lets you play accordingly. Tough decision here with the Thoughtseize, though. A lot of good cards over there. Just gonna go with the Courser.
Yeah, a lot of good cards and no standout.
Sure.
But Courser, James's hand is so slow without it. I think that's a fine card to take.
Temple. Top to the bottom. Kick it. Temple Silence is the play. Top card, bottom shelf. Pass the turn back over to Farrow. Off Mycos to draw. In for 1. Hames will go down to 18. This is a Coast. I think we have a Sidisi on the way. Yeah, there's a Brood Tyrant. Zombie along with it. Ding, ding, ding.
And a Soul in the graveyard. Exactly where you want it.
Yeah. Thoughtseize the draw, not a great one. Sidisi might be able to run away with this one.
Well, Sidisi is so good against Drown and Sorrow because it kind of forces you to Drown and Sorrow at some point and still leaves the Sidisi.
A Whip, a Courser, a couple of lands. Sidisi's the big problem here.
Although, that's a pretty soft hand there for John, and if James can find an answer to Sidisi, he's got very little going on now.
And I like the use of Drown and Sorrow there. You just want to stay alive.
Yeah.
Don't take too much damage. Courser. Have to take 1 to cast it. Top card. Sidisi. Don't mind turning that one over. That guarantees a zombie. Oof, 2 whips though. Means only 1 whip left. Zombie will come into play. Island will come into play from Courser. Top card's Ashiok. So Farrow's doing some pretty nice work here.
Though, basically losing all of his whips now means he's got to try to win this game straight up. That's not easy to do.
Wingmate Rock comes into play. See the top card here for Farrow is a Murderous Cut. His draw for the turn was that Ashiok.
For as much power as John has generated, how much fancy stuff he's doing, just James's curve of 3/4 flyer into Elspeth into Hornet Queen may be too much to overcome.
Temple. Leave the cut on top, gain a life. Pass the turn back. Draw. A little surprised, no interest in casting Ashiok that turn.
Same, because it's not like James is in a position to just kill it.
Yeah. If he's attacking, you're probably pretty happy. That opens up the ability for your Sidisi to attack potentially. So a touch surprising. Six mana, there's Elspeth. Thumbs up. 3 soldiers. This makes more sense now. The soul wants to get to work. Get back a queen. A Doomwake. And a Courser.
Juicy allotment of creatures.
Yeah. Soul Vinistrat's been impressive.
Yeah, the Doomway Giant being particularly good here is it frees up all sorts of attacks next turn.
Yep. cut the draw. There's Doomway. And this actually gives him the ability, without many card turns graveyard, to cut the Wingmate Rock, Doomwake away the tokens, kill the Elspeth, and get to work with Sidisi. It's a beautiful turn here for Farrow.
Yeah. And the fact that he was able to soul back a Hornet Queen means that even if James is able to find end hostilities, John has a very powerful follow-up.
He doesn't have to commit anything else to the board either. Beatdowns. Trigger Sidisi. Doomwake's going to go away, as will Queen. And another copy of Sidisi. Of course, it's the top card of the deck. The zombie token will come into play. Mr. Hames. It's a Thoughtseize. See Ashiok. Courser. Queen. Queen's going to bite the dust. Is there an end hostilities is the question. Well, it doesn't look like there is.
And this is a lethal attack coming across.
Untap. Draw the Courser. Show you that Hornet Queen that he knows about. Temple's going to come in. Trigger. Gain a life. Top card to the bottom. Satyr Wayfinder attack with everybody, and that is going to do it. John Farrow with Sultai Reanimator is your Star City Games Standard Open champion here from Atlanta.